Mr. Ortiz's 6th period psychology class attending Edward Roybal Learning Center. We are in search of an answer to our class research question. Does the community have the ability to live a healthy, sustainable lifestyle in today's modern society? We sought answers to this question in our local neighborhoods, Pico Union, Westlake, MacArthur Park, Echo Park, and downtown Los Angeles. To answer this question, our class chose the most important places to us that affect our health and wellness. We picked places that best represented important issues in our community. We visited these places to obtain a better understanding of how they affect the health and wellness of our community. There, we conducted interviews of key neighborhood stakeholders as well as collected footage.
Public safety is just a stepping stone towards the utopia which we all crave. In order to achieve this goal, we break down the idea of public safety by researching and exploring the various public safety issues in the downtown Los Angeles inner city neighborhood. We found that there were multiple issues such as community members being civically minded, whether or not more police presence made a neighborhood safer, the lack of communication between local communities and police authorities. We chose to focus on the question of how do we build trust between immigrant communities and the police in our local neighborhood. To answer these questions, we interviewed community activist Ordelia Romero, director of the Los Angeles Human Relations Commission, Patricia Villaseñor, staff member of the City of Los Angeles Human Relations Commission, Francisco Ortega, and the LAPD police captain, Stephen A. Ruiz.
2 years ago, there was an officer-involved shooting.
Labor Day 2010, we had an incident where our officers responded to a call.
High-profile shooting here at 6th and Union. LAPD bike detail at that time responded to the call.
They got flagged down, and there was a man assaulting a woman with a knife.
A man who was wielding a knife.
Police officers encountered him.
And he was drunk, intoxicated. The people called for assistance because he was threatening people, passerbys. You know, he had a knife.
Unfortunately, rather than drop the knife, the guy came in a threatening manner after our officers.
Apparently they asked him to put his knife down or something. I mean, we don't know. There was a lot of different versions of what happened at that moment, right?
And then they gave him commands to drop the knife.
The guy wasn't responding. This man got killed. He got shot twice in the head. Boom, boom, 2 shots in the head.
The guy died as a result. Anytime a police officer has to take a life, that's a tragedy. It's not something that we look forward to doing. That's the last thing we want to do, is have to take a life.
I mean, immediately the community is like, what happened here? You just killed a man with a knife. You got guns. You have 4 guys in the detail, and you shot this guy who's got 1 knife. Couldn't you just take the knife away? This is what the community is saying.
MacArthur Park went up into kind of a mini riot, and there was, for about 3 or 4 days, and Rampart Division was involved in that.
But also, now that we had shot and killed a man with a knife, they felt that it shouldn't have been handled that way. It should have been handled differently.
So for 3 days, the community was angry. I mean, upset. They were throwing rocks at police.
This case was a man by the name of Mr. Manuel Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez was a Mayan from Guatemala, and there was some speculation by some community members that thought he didn't speak English or Spanish.
He spoke Canjoal. It's a native tongue from the Mayan culture. So
as it turns out, he did speak Spanish, and there were witnesses that saw that.
So when the police go, hey, deja tu arma, o suelta tu navaja, o ponla en el piso, algo. He didn't understand that. He only spoke his own native language. He spoke very, very limited Spanish.
LAPD was unaware of the indigenous population. So I don't know if you could say there was even a relationship there. They weren't aware of them. They assumed if you looked brown, you must be Latino, and you must therefore equal, if you don't speak English, you're going to speak Spanish.
There's about 150,000 Mayas living here.
I learned that we had an indigenous population. One of the leaders I speak to is a gentleman by the name of Policarpo Cha. He's a leader of the Mayan of Guatemala, the community here. And he tells me that this area alone here in the Westlake Pico Union area, we probably have about 25,000 indigenous people that live in this immediate area.
What is the history of the relationship between the LAPD and this community? And it hasn't always been good. Okay, in this community, you know, this is where the Rampart scandal, where the guy who was a police officer here and was abusing people, was taking money from them, intimidation. It was like a little gang, right, that they had.
Rampart had a bad reputation back in the 90s. You probably heard of the Rafael Perez, the Rampart scandal.
Community totally knew that the cops were dirty. There was no inspector general at that time.
It gave the community a lack of trust in this department. And so in the last few years, what we did is we come after Mr. Jimenez was killed by the police, and we try to talk to different people in this community. Say, hey, how do you feel? What is your perception of the LAPD?
Human Relations worked a great deal with the indigenous community in the area, as well as the LAPD, so that to build a relationship, so that they can work in a partnership to address the concerns of both communities. So
One thing that we didn't have before the shooting was we had no communication.
We were called to say, yeah, come in, Francisco, try to figure out what's going on here. Why are residents from Pico Union and the Westlake area so upset?
The indigenous people from this community probably had some sort of fear or mistrust of police. I mean, LAPD Rampart had a bad reputation back then. A lot of the people that come from the various countries, in their own experience with the police departments in their countries, are corrupt police departments. So there was always a fear and mistrust of police. Through the help of Francisco Ortega, who was with the Human Relations Commission, he put me in touch with a lot of the key leaders in that community. And not only was I dealing with the Mayans from Guatemala, but also from Mexico, the Oaxacan community, who also is well represented in this area.
we use something called the captain's table. And what we do is we get the commitment from the area captain, which in this area would be Rampart, and have them sit at a table, something like this, twice a month, and invite community members to come and just talk to him.
Look, there's a lot of dynamic pieces here that you have to be aware. One of the biggest things that you have to be aware is that you have a lot of power as a community member to change how that department behaves. And so that if you wanted to go right now, and knock at the front door of Rampart and said, I want a meeting with the commanding officer, Captain Ruiz, they will give it to you. And you'll sit down with Captain Ruiz and he'll listen to you and say, what can I help you with? That's part of your initiative. That's part of what we want to train you to do, is to be civically minded, to say, I have a lot of power in my community that I didn't know that I have.
So we did a lot of educating. We educated each other about their cultures, and we educated them about our way of doing business and the rules, the laws, and stuff.
Some of the Mayan and Oaxacan leadership, because of that relationship building, now that they have interpreters at the police station twice a week, so that if people come in and speak an indigenous language, they'll have interpreters there from the community. So I think those kinds of relationship building is what's needed. But that takes time. Nothing, we can't say today we're going to do this and tomorrow it's going to be solved. It's taken 2 years to build that up.
We've come a long way. We've had tree planting ceremonies with neighborhood cleanups where the community members are part of it. What we have now is we have dialogue. We have transparency.
Is that you are the solution here, not the police. The police are your friend, and you should have dialogue with them. But you should also be a critical friend. Remember, a good friend always tells another friend, hey, listen, you're messing up here, right? I'm still your friend, but you gotta straighten up, kid, right? This is what a good friend does. It takes another friend out of danger, right? You're a friend to the police, but you're in charge of your public safety apparatus.
Our group tackled the issue of lack of access to healthy food in our neighborhood. We learned that poor eating habits lead to obesity, diabetes, and other health problems, which are all serious problems in low-income communities of color. Many people in low-income communities believe they have no access to healthy foods and thus make poor nutritional choices, but we discovered that there are spaces that do provide healthy options. Hence, we found answers to our question, how can our community access healthy food? We interviewed the customers and vendors at our local Echo Park Farmers Market and community vendors.
Definitely, if you want to kind of go into, it's definitely like an oasis in a food desert, because we're surrounded, even in like parts like maybe in LA, there's patches of food deserts, I guess, where you're bombarded with marketing as opposed, that wants you to consume certain products, the Doritos, the Coke, Coca-Cola, these people are really, present in food deserts, where as opposed to something like this is very, it's absent. It's not there. That's why the importance of a marketplace like this because you can have a vendor that's from the community come out and kind of put their stuff out there and educate the community, because I think that's what it's about also. Like
in different ways, actually, I've come to meet some of the people from some of the community people here, because everybody comes here, I guess, around the same time. I've gotten to know how they grow some of the mushrooms, how they explain things, how they grow. I've gotten more into eating greens and more vegetables because they teach you how to cook them, So that's very important to me with the kids. I think it supports our local farmers. I think we get a variety of foods, like I said, that we don't necessarily might see at the local supermarket.
La comida aquí o los productos aquí son mucho mejor que en los mercados porque es orgánico, porque son más sanos y no tienen pesticidas. Me enteré porque yo vivo aquí cruzando la calle y bueno, tengo ya bastante tiempo aquí y conozco muchos de los vendedores y es muy buena.
And we have about 5 pounds of produce in every bottle, and so what it does, it provides the most amount of nutrients you can get, and then everything we have, it's listed here on the bottle, that's all that's in there, so we don't add any extra sugars or waters or anything else. Toxicant, so it really gets all the toxins out of your body that we take in every day, between the food we eat, the air we breathe in, just everything like that, the stuff we drink. So that's the main goal of our company, is really to provide our customers with a very nutritious, heavy drink, as well as offer a cleanse system that'll help them just revitalize their body and get a healthy body.
Mostly like mole sauce, which is like traditional, kind of like a Mexican curry, I guess I would call it. It's got almonds, chiles, it's got cacao, it's like the main ingredient, the chocolate. And to pair that with, I do like the cheese, and I do like wheat-free bread, so no wheat bread, So I use brown rice, I use millet flour, I use teff flour, so I use all alternative grains instead of using like wheat. So it's kind of like a political move towards, or against using like GMOs and anything that's not, natural, I guess I would say.
I think there's a variety of people here. But I think it's just locals, I've seen a lot more Latino ladies come, and as a matter of fact, I've actually had people come and use their EBT, which I didn't know that it could be used here, but, and I send people to buy, their eggs and their chicken here instead of at the supermarket, because I feel that it's healthier, the free range, and the hormones in the chickens. So I send my friends here, whoever has that, because they don't necessarily just have to have it at the supermarket.
CalFresh EBT, basically they get their card and they bring it to us, and we have basically EBT money. And with that, they give us an amount for, let's say, $5, and we pass their card. We put the amount. They put their PIN number, and with that money, they go to each farmer and pay with that money.
It's a base for a community, and you learn different things. Like I said, now I look more for free-range chicken, which is hard to find at the supermarkets. And it's a health-conscious thing. I think it helps people to realize where things are coming from.
Ask yourself, how are spaces like Vista Hermosa Park, MacArthur Park, Hope and Peace Park, and Roybal Civita's Unity Garden important to our community? How do they impact our neighborhood? We engage in this debate about the availability and access to community space in low-income neighborhoods. In particular, we explored the question, what community spaces do we have? Why are they important? How do budget cuts affect these community spaces? To answer these questions, we interviewed community activist Maria Tunches, Director of City of Los Angeles Human Relations Commissions, Patricia Villaseñor, Santa Monica Conservancy Park Rangers Lorenzo Mateo, and Andy Blackinger.
This is one of the first park built within 100 years. We don't have that many parks in downtown LA. We only have MacArthur Park and Echo Park, so it's very important to have a park here in downtown LA.
Porque no teníamos un parque más cerca para nuestros niños, y en ese entonces yo ya era una madre viuda y me costaba mucho llevarlos a MacArthur Park o a Lafayette porque siempre los estuve con ellos en deportes.
We do get a lot of people from different community to use the park, especially in the morning and evenings. We get a lot of joggers that helps to relieve stress, and also we do see a lot of people throughout the day to come in just to have picnic or read a book.
Traemos una movie night, una noche de movie, y traemos palomitas, invitamos a los vecinos y ponemos un screen allá, aunque sea con cajas, como lo que sea, pero la hacemos.
At Vista Hermosa Park, we have a lot of programs for the community at different ages for the whole family. For instance, in the summer we have a lot of campfires for the whole family. They can come and they put marshmallows, sing a song, and then in the summer too, sometimes we have a movie night. So the community is very grateful too.
Tenemos muchas satisfacciones. No tenemos ninguna cosa de por qué arrepentirnos de haber hecho este proyecto.
The whole area, it's an LAUSD property. This used to be like an oil field years ago, and now it's Vista Hermosa Park. And this park was built in July 2008.
Este parque eran 2 edificios. Cuando yo llegué aquí a esta área en 1990, el edificio de abajo ya no existía. Era una área llena de monte, pasto, seco, piedras. Luego la parte de arriba había un edificio de 3 unidades, 3 niveles, tenía como 36, 38 unidades y estaba inhabitable.
Talking about the city of LA, it's the city council and the mayor that dictates the budget for this city. Now, if all they're getting from community is that we want more police, we want safety, we want public safety, then they're going to say, okay, we can cut parks and we can hire more police. Because those are decisions they have to make. I mean, they are responsible for making those decisions. And it's based on what they're hearing from their constituents or their community members. Now, if community members are saying, we want police, we want police, we want police, they're doing their job by giving them more police. But until that happens, everybody says, I see the survey. I see it. I'm always disappointed. 70% of its budget goes to public safety, which is LAPD and the fire department. What budget cuts, they just close down. They just they cut down hours of operation. So the parks may be there, but you won't have any of the activities that go along with those parks. And in certain parks, they just shut down completely. They shut their doors you don't have pools opening during the summer, you don't have recreation centers open for young people to use. The consequences for community is that it destabilizes communities that are already not stable. So if you have a shift of resources where there's no investment in libraries, recs and parks and stuff in communities that have very little already, then you destabilize that community even further. Now, if all of a sudden everybody would say, no, we want more parks and libraries, we don't need as many police, they would shift. They would, because they want their jobs, right? Nobody wants to lose their job.
La señora Berta Woolbridge es un miembro activo, que fue por la que ella inició todos los trámites para ver si la ciudad nos podría comprar estas propiedades. Unirme al comité que en ese rato me hablaron para que si yo quería contribuir y ser miembro activo de organizar un comité para luchar y rescatar esta propiedad a nombre de nuestra pequeña comunidad. Con el alcalde, con los concejales y miembros del condado, autoridades, y nos costó.
And I think communities are the ones that ultimately dictate what that priority is. And if you don't vote, if you don't come out and talk to be involved in a civic way, then you're going to have those who do vote and do come out that will have the ear of these council people.
Si uno de vecino se interesa por algo y si vemos un espacio vacío que está inhabitable y nosotros insistimos a la ciudad nos escucha, porque tengo experiencia en esto, porque tiene que ser uno insistente. Y yo sé que la ciudad ayuda, porque a nosotros en este proyecto nos ayudó bastante, nomás que tuvimos que tener paciencia, espera, pero lo logramos.
Politics and government is hugely important to your life. You know, it's as much as you want to ignore it, if you don't pay attention to it, you're going to get, excuse the language, you're going to get screwed by it in one way or another. So you have to know about it. You have to pay attention and participate.